Start with a gentle atmospheric soundscape, perhaps the subtle hum of a city mixed with a soft, thoughtful melody. 9 time zones. 3 flights. Ben, a 32-year-old software designer from Seattle, stepped onto the streets of Saigon, feeling like a jumbled mess of fatigue and caffeine. His mission was simple: find a clean, safe, and quick meal to refuel before diving into a mountain of remote work. Saigon at midday was an explosion of life. The roar of motorbikes, the calls of street vendors, the dense aromas of sizzling oil and sweet jasmine. It was a sensory assault. He spotted a sleek, modern cafe, all cold LED lights and air conditioning. It was familiar, safe, but something made him pause. Just a few feet away, tucked under a weathered awning, was a tiny faux stall. No flashy signs, just a colossal dented aluminum pot, sending a thick column of steam shimmering into the sunlight. This steam wasn't just steam, it was a fragrant cloud, thick with the scent of ginger, star anise, and cardamom. It was a primal, irresistible invitation. Ben, a man who lived by the gospel of efficiency, hesitated. The tiny plastic stools, the locals sitting shoulder to shoulder, the napkins stuffed into old tin cans, it all screamed against the sterile hygiene standards he was used to. But his growling stomach and captivated nose staged a coup against his rational mind. He folded his tall frame onto a small blue stool. The owner, a woman in her 50s with quick hands and a surprisingly radiant smile, looked at him. Her eyes simply asked, "What'll it be?" Ben, armed with a single word from his online research, pointed to the giant pot and said hesitantly, "Faux bo." The woman, Ko Bei, gave a knowing nod. And then the performance began. This wasn't fast food, it was art. Her hands moved in a blur, plunging fresh rice noodles into boiling water, fanning them into a bowl. She layered paper-thin slices of raw beef over the top, then sprinkled a vibrant shower of green onions and cilantro. Every movement was guided by decades of practice, not by measuring cups. Then came the climax, the broth. With a large ladle, she scooped the clear, bubbling liquid from the pot, pouring it in a steaming cascade over the beef. A sizzle, an explosion of fragrance, clean, deep, and utterly intoxicating. It was the warmth of roasted ginger, the soulfulness of bone marrow, and the mystery of spices from a world away. Ben waited, and this waiting felt different. It wasn't the anxious pause before a client's email. It was an active, respectful anticipation. When the bowl was placed before him, it felt like a manifesto. The ivory white of the noodles, the delicate pink of the flash-cooked beef, the bright green of the herbs, all swimming in a clear, amber broth. For the first time that day, he forgot his phone. He forgot the emails and the deadlines. This bowl of pho demanded his full, undivided attention. He awkwardly picked up the chopsticks and took his first spoonful of the broth. It was like a gentle electric current, not of adrenaline but of pure, complex flavor. This isn't just soup, he thought. This is a story. It began with the clean sweetness of the bones, simmered for hours. Then a sharp, pleasant warmth from ginger and black pepper spread across his palate. Finally, the subtle, comforting notes of star anise and cinnamon bloomed in his throat, leaving an aftertaste that begged for another sip. He thought of his sad desk lunches back in Seattle, a cold sandwich, a salty canned soup. They were about function, about filling a void. But this wasn't just filling him up, it felt like it was healing him. He watched the locals around him, learning the ritual. Squeezing a wedge of lime, dropping in a slice of chili, dunking fresh basil and herbs. He followed suit, tentatively at first. A slice of chili added a spark of daring. A squeeze of lime brightened the entire bowl, making the broth feel reborn. He realized this bowl was an open invitation for him to become a co-creator, to find his own perfect balance of sour, spicy, salty, and sweet. He started eating faster, not out of haste, but out of pure, unadulterated pleasure. The sound of his slurping joined the chorus around him. In that moment, he wasn't a foreign observer anymore. He was part of this shared, delicious ritual. The noodles were soft yet resilient, clinging to the savory broth. The beef, cooked only by the heat of the soup, was tender and melted in his mouth. A profound realization washed over him. In his world, If something wasn't perfect, you sent it back. But here the dish was a collaboration. It wasn't complete until he, the eater, added his own final touches. He looked over at Kobe, who was now resting, sharing a quiet smile with a regular customer. Her smile held a kind of serene satisfaction, one that came not from profit, but from creating something perfect day after day. Ben finished the entire bowl, down to the last few precious drops of broth. A deep warmth spread through him, a feeling of being not just full but restored. He paid, and Kobe thanked him with a simple "come on." Ben wanted to say more, to convey the depth of his gratitude. He placed a hand over his chest and gave a slight bow. She understood. Her radiant smile returned, and she handed him a tissue. As he walked away from the stall, the city felt different. The sunlight was softer. The roar of the motorbikes sounded less like chaos and more like a symphony. He was no longer in a hurry. He had just consumed a meal that held the patience of hours of simmering and the wisdom of centuries of tradition. I flew halfway across the world looking for efficiency, Ben thought to himself, his steps now slower, more deliberate. But what I really needed was a dish with a soul. A dish that taught me to stop, to listen, and to be patient. The po hadn't just fed his body. It had nourished a part of him he didn't even know was starving. He learned that true greatness isn't found in speed, but in depth. And depth always, always demands time. If Ben's journey to find serenity in a bowl of pho resonates with you, please share this story. And don't miss the next chapter of our Slow Drip series, where we continue to explore the simple rituals that make life rich and meaningful. Thank you for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe to join us on the journey.